Okay, Dragon Ball Daima episode 10, titled Ocean, has aired. Spoiler alert, if you don't want to be spoiled by this episode, I suggest you click off the video right now. We're going to be talking about the entire episode. There was a lot of lore development in this episode, so there's going to be a lot of spoilers, so just fair warning. I did spend a little bit more time just organizing my notes for this one, just because there's a lot more information in this episode than we're used to. It was all kind of condensed as well into like a 3-minute speech by Supreme Kai, so I'm trying to get everything down. There's possible I might have missed one or two things, but I think I got the important stuff down. So we'll go through the breakdown here a lot. I probably have way more notes this week than I usually do, and I usually have a lot of notes anyway. So we will go ahead and get started. We do have some screenshots from the episode courtesy of Hype here, so that we can sort of illustrate what I'm talking about as we talk about it. So the episode starts right away as Majin Cou faces off with Tamagami number 1. If you guys remember to last week's episode, Majin Cou is the creation of Dr. Irinsu and squares off against Tamagami number 1. And it's sort of just for Dr. Irinsu to test out Majin Cou's power. He's supposed to be the new Majin Buu. And they have a good reference point for how strong the Tamagami are. They know that Goku was able to defeat Tamagami number 3, so they are at least trying to see if Majin Cou is able to at least stand up to Tamagami number 1. So this is the testing ground that she'll be able to use to see if he's going to be able to defeat him. I love this image because it just shows him that he's like, oh, this is a little small. It just shows that he's so like, look at this face. He's like, yeah, I got this. So he goes and faces off against Tamagami number 1. Now, at the beginning, it definitely does seem like the fight is pretty evenly matched, but right away, you can tell that Majin Cou's fighting style is very strange. We thought Buu's fighting style was strange. To me, it seems that Majin Cou's fighting style is even more strange. It's probably the strangest fighting style we've ever seen in Dragon Ball. He's doing like dance moves. He's like moving his head around. He's like somersaulting in midair. Like, it's very tough to describe it without seeing it, but this image right here is very reminiscent of Majin Cou. So he does some pretty interesting things right away. He's doing like this giant energy blast. So I mean, he's not, you know, they at least wanted to, I think, illustrate with this first image here and this first scene in the episode that he's not like a pushover. He's not a nobody. And by the way that they show this fight throughout the episode it's basically, I would say, for the first 2/3 of the episode, they're going back and forth between the fight between Majin Cou and Tamagami number 1, and then like Goku and Vegeta and everybody. So they're cutting back and forth and just showing, I want to say, like 1-minute intervals where the fight is happening between Majin Cou and Tamagami number 1. So we see this for the first, I guess, minute and a half of the episode. Then we cut to Goku and the others who are at Warp. They're trying to go to the second demon realm. And then obviously Supreme Kai has to make Goku's ears pointy again so that they don't get caught with somebody who's an outsider, so that they can use Warp to go to the second demon realm. Then we go back to the fight between Majin Cou and Tamagami number 1. Let me see if I can scroll up here. Yeah, here's the picture of this. And at this point, it is showing that Majin Cou essentially has 0 effective attacks against Tamagami number 1. Yeah, look, this is him. Like, this is Tamagami number 1. This is how he looks when he fights. He's doing like this weird stuff. He's like falling and tripping, and he's essentially doing nothing to Tamagami number 1. So at this point, we could definitely tell that this is a complete mismatch. Tamagami number 1 is not going to be touched or defeated by this guy. So I think a lot of people are probably going to be happy about this, because this guy's design is, I mean, it intentionally looks like this because he's supposed to be the result of mixing together Majin Buu and Cyberman material together. I didn't think he was going to be like some massive threat, at least in this form. We'll see what happens with him later on, whether or not he's going to be gaining different forms as we move through this series. But in this form, in this Cyberman looking hybridish form, they're definitely not going to put up a fight with Tamagami number 1. So that's another transition we have in that fight there. Goku and the others make it back to the second demon realm. I'm just reading my notes here because this is going to be the most accurate depiction of what happened. Let me see. Oh yeah, so initially when they enter the second demon realm, it does kind of look very similar to Planet Namek. There's an ocean everywhere. There's like mini islands spread out throughout the ocean. It does really remind me of Planet Namek. It's not like a spitting image of Planet Namek, but it does give you the same vibe that Planet Namek has. Glorio says that the air is a lot less heavy here so that they can move their ship a lot faster. So he's like, okay, we don't have to be like super sluggish and take 10 episodes to get to where we want to go. He's like, okay, we're pretty close to the second Tamagami location, so let's just head over there now. And so they're zooming along in their ship. It seems like they're going to make it pretty fast. Blah, 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 blah. Supreme Kai says there are monsters lurking in the water, so they need to be careful. Shortly after that, they get shot at by the royal police, and their ship gets shot down. So, well, it doesn't get shot. Their ship gets shot, and it starts like spiraling, I guess, down. Well, it essentially gets shot down. And Goma is actually looking at what's happening through the lens of one of the royal police ships. So Goma's seeing that they're now in the second demon realm. Goma knows they're here. Goma's been tracking their location, and Goma definitely wants them out of his face here. So, while they're falling down, Glorio opens the hatch and Goku jumps out to deal with the enemy ships. They reference the scene from Dragon Ball Super Broly with Goku on the windshield. Yeah, so there's the scene where Goku jumps out of the ship and he's doing ki blasts and trying to take down the royal police ships. And there is a scene where Goku kind of just like, I don't know if there's a picture here. Yeah, it doesn't look like this is the water monster. Look how big he is. There's a scene where Goku like gets plastered, I guess. I don't want to gets plastered on the windshield of one of the royal police ships, and it really does remind me of that scene from Dragon Ball Super Broly with Goku doing like I don't know, with like the nose thing on the ship. I think it's probably a reference to that. All the while, Goma and Degasu are looking on, and Goma orders the entire royal police force to be sent to the second demon realm and deal with Goku. Yeah, so obviously the royal police stands no chance against Goku, and Goma's like, okay, send everyone to the second demon realm and get rid of these guys. So Goma really wants them out of there. All of a sudden, one of the water monsters appears behind them as their ship is having issues flying. It gets taken by the monster. Yeah, so this is a really big monster. Like, it's not like one of the typical like dinosaurs from like OG Dragon Ball or something. This is like a really big monster. This is a real monster. It's kind of like an octopus. Like, this is the head of the monster, and then he has like these tentacles that come out of the water too. So their ship actually ends up getting crushed by this monster, and Pansy at the last second goes back into the ship because she actually realizes they left the Dragon Ball in the ship, and Goku ends up saving her at the last second. So they miraculously are able to escape from the giant monster, but their ship gets destroyed in the process. But it's not that big of a deal because they don't really need the ship here. They can fly around much easier in the second demon realm because the air is a lot less dense, I guess is what they said. So after escaping the monster, Supreme Kai says that the original planet of the Namekians is within sight, so they head that way to check it out, and then it cuts to the commercial. Let me see if there's a picture here. Okay, so it cuts back to the fight against Majin Cou and Tamagami number 1, but they do show that they're like right next to the original planet of the Namekians, so that's seemingly where they're going to head next. So yeah, but after commercial, it cuts back and it shows that very clearly at this point, Majin Cou is absolutely no match for Tamagami number 1 as he gets completely overpowered. There's one shot and there's one sequence where Majin Cou rushes at Tamagami number 1. It reminds me a lot of Cell versus Mr. Satan. If you guys remember how Cell dealt with Mr. Satan, he runs at Cell and Cell just like, he like just literally swats him away with his hand. That's exactly what Tamagami number 1 does to Majin Cou. So he is completely unable to deal with Tamagami number 1. Okay, so after this, Goku and the others make it to the original Namekian planet, and okay, so I guess I sort of skip a little bit with this. There is a scene where it does show Goku catch up with no, actually that's later. No, is it? What happens here? I'm trying to remember. Yeah, no, they make it to... Yeah, no, okay, no, I remember this. So, yeah, no, they actually do go to the Namekian planet first. The Namekian planet is actually just a spitting image of Planet Namek. It is essentially the exact same thing. There's no difference at all. It's literally just Planet Namek. Goku is so hungry that he goes to eat one of the senzu bean bug things that he's had since like the second episode or something. Like they got that it was probably like episode 3 or something. They got those. And says it tastes terrible, but it fills him up and it restores. It's literally a senzu bean essentially. Since all the Namekians left, there's no one here, but Goku quickly is able to sense that Vegeta and the others have arrived at the second demon realm. Yeah, so he actually, so this is what happens. He leaves the Namekian planet. It's like it kind of reminds me of almost like King Kai's planet. It's not as small as King Kai's planet, obviously, but it's not like some Earth-sized planet for sure. So he leaves the Namekian planet to go meet up with Vegeta and everybody else, and he goes to their ship, and he's like, guys, like, there's a giant monster. You might want to not fly so close to the water. And so they actually end up getting attacked by this thing. And they make it out, and then they all arrive at the Namekian planet after that. So now it cuts back to Majin Cou. This is the finale of the Majin Cou versus Tamagami #1 fight. So Majin Cou is fighting this guy, and this is easily the funniest part of this episode. Is we have Majin Cou, who essentially realizes, okay, there's actually no way I can win. So he's like, okay, I give up. He's like, all right, thanks for the fight, I give up. And then he runs back to Dr. Arinsu, and he's like very like jolly. He's like, I lost. he's like, sorry, I lost. Like he doesn't care that he lost. So let me see what I wrote here. Majin Cou forfeits in Tamagami #3 and forfeits to Tamagami #3 and apologizes to Dr. Arinsu for not being able to win. They soon get on Dr. Arinsu's ship and fly away, and Arinsu tells Majin Cou that he's fired. Majin Cou says that he's strong, but just not strong enough to beat the Tamagami, which, I mean, did kind of look like the case. I mean, like the very first scene of the fight, he was, you know, he wasn't doing nothing. He was able to do some stuff. There was some interesting like tornado spinning attack he did. It actually really reminded me of Pycon a little bit. Not exactly the same, but it did kind of give me Pycon, like what do they call it? Like the tornado, hyper tornadoes, I think what the English name is for that attack. So it was kind of funny there, but obviously this is not a successful Majin Buu recreation, because Majin Buu would torch the Tamagamis, right? They wouldn't stand a chance against them. So this is the last we see of Majin Cou and Dr. Arinsu in this episode. So there's very clearly going to be either some modifications to him, or they're just going to scrap him and make a new one or something. I don't know, but he's not really. And also, I guess one thing to mention about Majin Cou is that he doesn't seem like a bad guy, right? He's not like it looks like he's having fun with the fight, and he's like he seems just like a normal character almost. Like he doesn't seem like a villain. He doesn't seem like Majin Buu like a dumb dummy or anything. Like he's like a normal person. This is a character I could definitely see becoming part of like the crew at the end of the series. Like Majin Cou being a part of the Z Fighters, I could actually see this. Just because of the way his personality was developed almost. All right, so I'm not going to scroll up because we're about to get into the lore heavy part of this episode. I'll scroll up after we've talked about this. All right, so now everybody is gathered in the Namekian planet. They don't really do anything on the Namekian planet. They just kind of talk about some stuff. And so let me just see. Cut back to Goku and the others, and Supreme Kai begins to tell everyone about the origin of the Demon Realm. So they kind of get into this because they're talking about, here's your home world, Piccolo. Like, I bet you feel very nostalgic or whatever. And so this sort of devolves into Supreme Kai talking about the evolution, I guess, of the Demon Realm and how things came to be. So I think I have most of the important things here, but if I missed anything, I apologize. This man, Supreme Kai, rattles this off in like 2 minutes like it's nothing. This is like the most lore we've seen in this series so far. He says, long ago, a ruler of the Demon Realm who's unnamed. So he actually talks about two rulers of the Demon Realm. First, he talks about this unnamed one, and then he talks about Abra, who's Deborah's father. Like, is he his father? Either his father or he's an ancestor of Deborah. I don't know if they... I think maybe in an earlier episode they did say he was Deborah's father directly, but he's related to Deborah. I think he's his father. He says, long ago, a ruler of the Demon Realm instructed a Gurindojin, which is the same race as Supreme Kai, his name in Japanese is Rhymesu. So it's either Rhymes or Limes in English. I think it's Limes because I think it's the pun on slime, his name. It's just slime, but they moved the S to the end of the word. So I think it's literally just going to be Limes is what his name is going to be. So the original, I don't know if it's the original Demon Realm ruler, but a very long time ago, the ruler of the Demon Realm at the time instructed Limes to create the outer universes. So this was before, apparently the Demon Realm existed before the outer universes existed. Supreme Kai says that Limes is the highest ranking god and that he's still alive today. And he is currently the most, like, they call him like the, I don't know, the best way to describe it. It's like, he's like the most highest ranking god, I guess is the best way to describe it. So they don't talk about Zeno at all here. I'm not sure what kind of relationship this Limes guy has with Zeno or what that's about, but Supreme Kai straight up says that Limes is the highest ranking god. So I don't know, we'll see. I'll give my theory on this when we finish talking about everything, but it is a very interesting statement from him. Some of the Green Dojin were dispatched to watch over each of the universes, such as Supreme Kai of Universe 7 and Gawasu of Universe 10. So here we're going to scroll up, and they actually do show some of the other Supreme Kai. This is the original Demon Realm ruler that is the one who instructed Limes to create the outer universes. This guy's unnamed. I don't think this guy has a name, but because I don't think this is Abra, right? Abra is shown here in a different picture. Abra, I mean, they look very similar, I guess. They're wearing different clothing. This guy doesn't have the same facial hair thing. I mean, this guy's horn. Yeah, I think this is a different Demon Realm ruler than Abra. This guy doesn't have a tail either, so yeah. Abra came afterwards. So let me just pull up my notes again. So here are the Supreme Kai, which we know from Dragon Ball Super. I mean, we have Gawasu from Universe 10. Here's Supreme Kai of Universe 7. We have I forget these guys' names. This is the Universe 6 guy. You're gonna make me try to remember all these guys' names. This is the Universe 11 one. This is the Universe 2 guy. I don't remember. I think this is... No. Universe 2. I don't remember what we know the important ones. So Gawasu is the Universe 10, Supreme Kai is Universe 7, this guy's Universe 6, this guy's Universe 11. I don't remember what the other ones are, but they do actually show these guys. And I think the reason why they showed them here is to just reaffirm everybody that this timeline is fitting in with Dragon Ball Super. So there is direct confirmation. I mean, we already knew this. I don't think anybody was doubting that Daima and Super weren't connected somehow. But the reason they showed this, I think, was to reinforce that that is the case. They are the same timeline. Daima just comes before Super. But this is an interesting development here because there's no mention of Gods of Destruction and there's no mention of Zeno. So if this guy, also I don't think, damn, he doesn't post a picture of Limes. He looks pretty funny. Give me a second, I'll try and find a picture of him. All right, so this is Limes. He does kind of look similar to Zeno, so I'm actually wondering, is this like Zeno's father? Is that who this is? Like, I don't know. There's no mention of this guy obviously in Super. There's no mention of Zeno here, so I don't really know what kind of relationship this character has with Zeno. Again, Supreme Kai did state he is the highest ranking god, which in Dragon Ball Super, that is Zeno, so I'm not sure what this guy's relationship is. There's no mention of Gods of Destruction. There's no mention of angels here either, so a lot of that stuff is still shrouded in mystery. Something else to mention as well as we go back to the Abra and this guy story. Supreme Kai also says that people were free to come and go from the Demon Realm a long time ago, but when Abra became king of the Demon Realm, this guy, who's again related to Deborah, I think he's Deborah's father, he viewed outsiders, who they actually call aliens, so I guess people that aren't from the Demon Realm. They viewed them as a threat and restricted the use of warp, so it wasn't as easy to come and go anymore from the Demon Realm and out of the Demon Realm and to the Demon Realm. And then Supreme Kai says the Gurin Dojin rebelled against Abra's tyranny and escaped into the outer worlds. And then Saiyans and humans, he said, unlike the Majin or the Demon Realm denizens, were not creations of Limes, but emerged naturally over the course of time throughout the universe. So interesting. I mean, again, we know from Dragon Ball Super that these Supreme Kais were the creators of the universes, but then we know that the Hakaishin, or the Gods of Destruction, were the destroyers of the universes. So I don't know what this relationship is going to look like. To me, it kind of sounds like Limes is the Zeno equivalent of the Supreme Kai's side of things, and then Zeno is kind of the God of Destruction. Like there's two opposing sides here. There's Zeno, who's the God of Destruction, highest ranking entity, and then we have Limes, who's the highest ranking entity on the side of the Supreme Kais, of the creator. We have the destroyers versus the creators, not really versus each other, but we have two sides to the same coin. who are entrusted with, I guess, maintaining balance of the universe. We have the creators versus the destroyers, and then Zeno's on the side of the destroyers with the angels and the gods of destruction, and Limes is on the side of the creators with the Supreme Kais. That is what it sounds like to me. Of course, we don't know anything about, like, oh, how did the, I guess, attachment between the Supreme Kais and the Gods of Destruction get established. They don't talk about that at all. Again, Gods of Destruction is not mentioned at all here, so there's a lot still that needs to be filled in, but there's a lot of new lore that they talk about in this, like, 2.5 to 3 minute span that Supreme Kai takes to just talk and yap about this stuff. So that's essentially all that they talked about there. Supreme Kai says, let me go back here. Supreme Kai says that there's no point in going to the planet where he was born since there's nothing left, that they should just keep heading to the Tamagami location. And so they all enter their spaceship, and Glorio is going to take them to the Tamagami number 2 location. But just as the episode ends, we see Neva. I think the English is Neva, right? Is Neva, whatever you want to pronounce his name. They show him walking very slowly towards their ship, and he laughs right before the end credits roll. So that's the end of the episode. And then in the next episode's preview, they do actually show base Vegeta fighting Tamagami number 2, which should be pretty interesting. It's called Densetsu, which is like legend, is what that means. So that's episode number 10. A lot of lore, world. Well, I don't even know if I want to call it world bending. It's literally just it's just straight up lore about the Dragon Ball universe that they talked about in this episode. So I imagine we're going to be getting tons of more information drops on the creation of the Dragon Ball universe as we move forward in Daima. You guys can let me know what you think about this, but there's a lot of new stuff here. Who is Limes? What is his relationship to Zeno? How does this tie in with the Gods of Destruction and the Dragon Ball Super stuff? Well, I guess we'll find out. I mean, my theory, and I'll end the video with this. My theory for the purpose behind Daima is to create a backstory about the Demon Realm. What is the Demon Realm? What are the Supreme Kai really supposed to be doing? What is their ultimate goal? What is their task? Who is Limes? And it's the point of this series here is to really set this up, because I think what's going to happen, we know the manga is on hiatus. Eventually they're going to have to adapt the Moro arc and Granola arc into anime. It's going to happen at some point, whether or not soon or not, I don't know. But I think the following manga arcs in Super, and the reason why I think the manga is on hiatus is because the next arc in the manga, whatever it is going to tie into stuff that we learn from Daima. I think they're going to tie in stuff from Daima to Super, but they want to establish the background of things that they talk about in Daima first before they do. Then they're not just going to toss out like, oh, by the way, there's this Demon Realm and there's all this. Like, they need an entire anime series to really set up all this stuff. So that, I think, is what the ultimate premise is behind why Daima exists in the first place. So we'll see if that ends up being the case, but a lot of interesting information learned today in Daima episode 10. Let me know what you guys think. Next week looks like Vegeta vs Tamagami number 2 is going to be the main thing. And I'm also interested in seeing what Dr. Arinsu does with Majin Cou, whether or not she's going to just completely scrap him and start over, or maybe modify him in some way, give him some extra power up somehow, with maybe Marba helping as well. So let me know what you guys think. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.